At some point in our lives, we've come across a crime scene. Now, it can be something simple, like you walk past a fender bender, or maybe you saw a carjacking.
All right, Fatso, out of the car.
I'm going to capture this.
Come on! Give me your wallet. Don't you?
Well, there goes the money for the lipo.
But with most every crime scene comes eyewitnesses. 4 different people can watch the same thing and give 4 different accounts of what happened. One lady remembers the suspect with long hair. Another man says it was short. Was the perp skinny? Was he fat? What was he wearing? And by the end of the interviews, the cops have 4 different stories and no leads. That's what's happening in the Democrat Party right now. We've seen what lockdowns, mandates, and masks have done to the country, especially to our children. So what are the Democrats doing about this? Well, it depends on who you ask. The CDC says the whole country needs to stay muzzled.
At this time, we continue to recommend masking in areas of high and substantial transmission. That's much of the country right now in public indoor settings.
And then there's the White House, who says, listen to the CDC, but also listen to your governor, and also listen to the science.
We recognize people are tired of the pandemic. They're tired of wearing masks. I bet all of you are. I certainly know I am. We all understand that. But that what our focus is on is looking at the data and the science.
Saying you're following the science is like saying something's racist. It's meaningless now. And are we following the same science that cooked up the virus in a lab? Because the last time we followed the science, we killed a bunch of people. Democrat governors are dropping mandates, so who's following the science now? I'm so confused.
Because of the dramatic decline in our COVID numbers, effective Monday, March 7th, the statewide school mask mandate will be lifted. We're not going to manage COVID to zero. We have to learn how to live with COVID.
My recommendation is that we end the statewide mask mandate as of February 28th.
As of March 31st, we will remove the requirement in schools, the emergency requirement at the state level in schools and child care facilities for those children to wear masks.
So live with it, not in fear of it. One crime scene and drastically different responses. Bongino made a great point last night. Sometimes he does. The Democrats are usually in lockstep, like a mob. And so you know they're in trouble when their talking points are all over the place.
When you see this messaging chaos, it means the donor class is in the ear of every liberal activist and politician saying, that's not working, this isn't working, do this. Remember the CRT messaging? First it was a great thing, then it was only taught in law schools, then it didn't exist, and then you're a racist for even mentioning it, right? And then we had the masks. Last week it was going to save the world. This week, well, maybe not. And then, yes, today it's like, well, listen to the CDC, but only not if you're in a blue state that just repealed mask mandates.
Joe Biden promised to crush the virus, and now that everybody got the virus, the Democrats want credit.
And the Omicron variant is in retreat. And that's not by accident. That's because under President Biden's leadership, a public health infrastructure was put into place, beginning with the American Rescue Plan without a single Republican vote, to ensure that we can do everything possible to crush the virus. And that is what has been happening.
There's no reason for mandates at this point. If things change, we can change back. But right now, we should free as many people from these restrictions.
Do they think we're stupid? This is like wanting credit for taking your foot off somebody's neck. Here's your freedom back, peasant. I only hurt you because I love you. They terrorized us for 2 years. You couldn't shop for groceries without hiding your face. You couldn't eat out. You couldn't work out. Well, I did. Or you couldn't even go out and catch a movie. You couldn't go to work. You couldn't even go on vacation. You have to show your papers just to grab a cup of coffee here in New York. You couldn't have weddings. Fauci told you not to celebrate Thanksgiving and Christmas with your family. Your children can't see their classmates smile, and people got fired because of mandates. But the left want us to forget that, and that they were behind all of that. This is the evolution of the Democrats. The party of blame has run out of patsies to pin their failures on. They went from it was Trump's fault to no, it was your fault to you can thank us later for saving your life. And why the sudden change of heart? Are Democrats seeing the light or seeing their power slip away?
As COVID-19 cases drop, new polling shows Americans are ready for the country to open up. We look at these numbers and we also think about the Democrats and how they really need to position themselves as they head toward the next election cycle.
Yes, we think of the Democrats. Mika said the quiet part out loud. This is about politics. That's why they flipped.
What, reverse back? Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap.
The same thing is going down with inflation. They spent all last year telling us inflation was, a high-class problem, insisting it was transitory and actually a good thing. And of course, they blamed you.
Now more people have jobs, more people are buying goods. That's increasing the demand. That's a good thing.
Stop buying all those things like food and gasoline, you greedy American consumer. You've had enough. The so-called experts, the Democrats, the media, are always initially wrong. And when they finally come around, they act like they arrived there through some noble pursuit of logic. They're the student who calls out sick the day of the big test, then asks all their friends for the answers the next day and pretend like they earned the A. Not like I ever did that. The left demands control as they pretend like they have all the answers, but they don't even really understand the question. They choked. They got scared. They told everybody to hide until we got a vaccine. And then when we got the vaccine, they told us to hide again. Biden's been leading from behind because he's been in hiding the whole time. So it's not surprising that nearly 6 in 10 Americans disapprove of how Joe Biden's handling his presidency, with most of that group saying there's literally nothing Biden has done since taking office that they approve of. The people have spoken, and they don't like Joe. Here's the good news, though. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. It's like Warren Buffett once said, what the wise do in the beginning, fools do at the end. Common sense doesn't have to follow anything. You know what we found out here? Who the fools were.